So my name's Chris Sorensen. I ride for the Canadian Equestrian team. To date, I've been lucky enough to represent the country on 4 different continents, and I'm currently in pursuit of the next 2 Olympic cycles. So one of the very interesting things about the equestrian world people don't realize, it's about a $300 billion business worldwide, and our sport is going through an amazing evolution right now. The top riders are competing 40 to 50 weeks a year all over the world, and we're looking for every competitive advantage we can possibly find. The unique part about our sport is that we've got 2 athletes, horses and humans, and actually acupuncture has been much more prevalent with the horses over the last few decades. Seeing that come through the horses is very interesting. They have no bias. They have no explanation as to why we're doing this to them. We care about them. They're our living, they're our teammate, they're our passion, and we do everything we can to advance their career. But the riders have traditionally taken very poor care of themselves. Only in about the last 10 years have you seen even the conversation about the rider fitness start to come into our sport. And probably in less than the last 5 years have you seen the best riders in the world become fit and athletic. But as we're all pursuing these goals, these Olympic goals, these world rankings, traveling the world, the sport has gotten more and more tuned in. We're looking for those competitive advantages, those aggregate of marginal gains, and that's where we start to see the acupuncture and all of these different treatments start to become a game changer. Because in our sport, we're talking about 20 to 30 year careers. So how do we maintain our horses? How do we maintain our human athletes at absolute elite levels for a long time? Acupuncture with horses is a very interesting thing to observe. The first few times the horses get it, they don't know what to expect, and you can't explain it to them. But it won't be 1 or 2 times till they see the acupuncturist and they relax straight away. Their bodies almost automatically know what's going to come, and you see the horses start to change both mentally and physiologically, and those are the sorts of things traditionally you couldn't even begin to measure. Now we're starting to look at heart rate variabilities, and we're starting to look at locomotion testing to see and prove the benefits that we've known for decades that come from these kind of treatments. But the horses tell you themselves. The horses, the minute they see the acupuncturist, are relaxing, and the next day when you get on to exercise them, we know them so well, so intimately on how they move, you straight away feel a difference. And that's very interesting when the horses have no bias or understanding of what we're doing. You're starting to see a very interesting dynamic where the horses are seeing the benefits, and actually the riders have been the slower adopters to get into these kind of therapies and take care of themselves as well as they take care of the horses. And you're starting to see a lot of treatments where you have an acupuncturist who wants to work with both the rider and the horse. Because our energies are so connected, because we are so intimately in tune to each other, when one athlete is out of sync, you really see it affect the other athletes. So we're starting to see that treatment of both athletes as a team and how that affects their interaction. And you're starting to see things come from what has been successful with the horses pulled into the riders. What's been successful with the riders started to be adapted to be used with the horses. And that's very interesting. We're even starting to see what we're doing with the horses move into other athletics, into athletics, Special Olympics and things where you have a non-communicative athlete. And these treatments, because we can quantify what an impact they have, we're starting to be able to measure what these can do for athletes. They can't always tell us exactly what they're feeling. I've been very lucky to be aware of acupuncture for a long time. And I have to be honest, as much of a believer I was a slow adopter for myself compared to my horses. The horses have had it for a couple decades now, and myself probably only for 10 or 15 years. But when you're trying to maintain your body for an activity where you might be sitting in the saddle for 4 to 8 hours a day, often in a fairly stagnant position, but then with a lot of force, these animals can weigh 1,800 pounds, moving at 30, 40 kilometers an hour. If they trip and throw their energy into your arm or into your back, it takes a lot of pressure. And those are the kinds of things that we need to maintain as equestrians for a long athletic career. So having the ability to have such non-invasive and constant maintenance of my body is absolutely critical for what we're trying to achieve. For myself to start acupuncture after seeing it with the horses was quite an interesting experience. You've got these big animals and they're very, very sensitive, and they relax straight away from the needles. I think I started acupuncture with a lot less trepidation than many people. The needles, to me, I feel my body immediately relax. You right away feel that your system is getting an outside influence that takes away the negative energy, takes away the strain and the stress of the muscles, whether it's emotional or physical. It's an immediate endorphin release for my body. Like I said, seeing that from the horses, I think gave me a very positive opinion starting out. But for me, right away, you're relaxing. I think my favorite part about acupuncture treatment is the fact that right away the next day I can still work as an athlete. The next day I might feel a little stiffness or something, that part of my body is starting to regenerate and recuperate. And every day after that I feel better and better and better. I always sleep much better after I've had an acupuncture treatment, so my rest and my recovery is improved right away. But I think the biggest part for me that I enjoy about it is I can be very proactive without affecting my training, so I can maintain and improve but still continue with competition. One of the amazing things about equestrian, because we're playing catch up in terms of the sport world and figuring out who the experts are in the world, is it's really forced me to go searching for the best in the world. And that's not prevalent in our sport. So we start to reach into other sports, talk to other athletes, and see where we can find the best ways to maintain ourselves as an athlete. And some of that we pull over to the horses as well. But I've been very lucky to start to find an amazing group of people, and I travel all over the world and get the benefit of talking to different athletes and finding who is cutting edge and what is working in other sports. So I was lucky enough to meet Dr. Tony through another top professional, and all of a sudden it's one of those things where you've heard about him many times and not realized from different athletic connections. So for us it's very exciting to get to work with the world's best in our sport, and we're still developing what is going to be the future. So the connection to Dr. Tony came from a good friend, Dr. James Spencer, who I've worked with for a number of years, and he's very aware of what I'm looking for in terms of trying to be as cutting edge as possible. So Dr. Tony was a natural fit. You can't get that level of education very many places in the world, but more than that, it's a philosophy and a talent and technique. And when you come as an athlete, you're looking to feel very confident in the skill set, but also in the mannerism and the understanding of what we're trying to do. In the end, we want to feel better, but most importantly, we want to be able to perform. And to perform at the most elite level, you need an elite team of people who are technically talented, but really get what you're trying to do. I think in the horse world, acupuncture is having a very interesting growth period right now. What people really need to understand is the horses are our passion in life, and the horses are our living and our friends and our teammates, and most equestrians would live and die for their horses. So you would actually see that the amount of horses getting acupuncture is probably higher than riders. In the general community, it's actually quite prevalent because everybody cares so much about their animal. In the top level of the sport, absolutely all of the horses have acupuncturists and chiropractors, and those are parts of their key athletic program. What is more interesting though is that even at the top of the sport, you probably have a fraction of the riders getting acupuncture, and the best of the best are really starting to see the benefits from it. But where it's really coming together and you start to look at both the athletic benefits of the treatment and the energy benefits of the treatment, is the top ones are both the rider and the horse getting treated, so that they're in sync physically, they're in sync from an energy point of view, and not only their performance ability, but their mental status and their energy are aligned. And at the top level of competition, you just can't not have that competitive advantage.